Well, our friend Bobby Shell at Bobby Shell across every platform, I believe, is a Bitcoin entrepreneur.
Bitcoin Maxi.
Maxi entrepreneur, but he's just a sharp man who, in this particular conversation, people should be listening to him. But I want to play the first, minute or so of this, and then you guys can find a link. We can maybe link it in the description. But he's worthy of following if you want to understand a lot of these things and why entrepreneurs and small business owners need to be thinking about Bitcoin. Very intelligent man who breaks things down with clarity. So,
will America buy $1 billion in Bitcoin for their strategic reserves? Will Trump back the dollar with Bitcoin? Well, one thing we know is Trump is defending our rights to sovereignty, holding our own keys, running our own node, and protecting the ability to mine. There's a lot of states who are standing up and signing off on this, but at a national level, having a president that understands where the puck is going, where the future of money is, and protecting the rights of citizens is one of the most important things that could be done today. Money drives everything. Money's in the middle of every economic transaction. As Charlie Munger said, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. Well, right now the incentive is to just keep printing dollars and handing it out to anyone who wants it, and that destroys the middle class, it destroys the poor, and it enriches those who own all of the assets. So what can we do as a country? Well, the first thing we could do is immediately print $1 to $10 billion and buy Bitcoin. Why? Well, we're sending 50, 60 billion here and there to Ukraine and all of these companies. And, it's great because when we pay Ukraine, we're paying all of these war organizations that we have in America to make weapons and do this and that. But more importantly, if we have a vision and we want to have capital into the future that the globe's going to be using, we're going to be buying Bitcoin. Because say we put $10 billion into Bitcoin today, 10, 15 years from now, that will be $1 trillion worth of value. A lot more economic power can be harnessed and utilized, whether it be for war or economic expansion in America, because we're talking about a form of money that can't be debased. No one else can issue it. And studying Ray Dalio's Changing World Order, how empires rise and fall, there's the good chance that the American empire continues longer than a lot of people suspect, because when it comes to stable coins and just crypto in general, Tether, USDC, and a lot of these dollar stable coins, they're some of the biggest buyers of US treasuries. And if we can make dollars more accessible to the world, the chance of us losing the reserve status becomes diminished. It's less likely that the dollar will fail in the short term. So if we want to stay as the leading world order, we need to adopt Bitcoin, back our reserves with Bitcoin, and make stable coins more accessible to others. Now you can totally say and share a lot of what Whitney Webb and some of these other folks have talked about, how Tether's in bed with a lot of these companies that are related to Epstein and the PayPal mafia and just Wall Street. And yeah, that's true. But we're not talking about Bitcoin winning versus the dollar right now. We're talking about America sustaining its position as the global superpower and what America needs to make as a decision on how to sustain that. And the most advantageous thing they could do is print $1 billion to $10 billion and immediately go buy Bitcoin over an OTC desk and hold it and continue that over and over and over again and become one of the largest holders of Bitcoin globally. And by doing so, it's going.
That's good.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Bretton Woods Conference, which was officially known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, it was a gathering of delegates from 44 allied nations in July 1944 at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. The conference aimed to create a new international monetary and financial order after World War II. The key outcomes and agreements for the conference included establishment of the International Monetary Fund. The IMF was created to provide financial assistance and stability to countries facing balance of payment problems, promoting international monetary cooperation. Hence why we're constantly lending money to other countries. 2, creation of the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Now part of the World Bank Group, the IBRD was established to help finance the reconstruction of war-torn Europe and support the economic development of less developed countries. Point number 3 of the Bretton Woods was fixed exchange rate system. The conference established a system on fixed exchange rates where currencies were pegged to the US dollar. And the US dollar was convertible to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. This system aimed to provide stability in international trade and finance. Then you also had the dollar gold standard. So the US dollar became the central reserve currency and other currencies were pegged to it. The US agreed to convert dollars into gold on demand, solidifying the dollar's role in the international trade and finance. What was the problem though? There wasn't enough gold compared to the amount of dollars that they were printing. And eventually they broke the gold back.
Can't keep a promise that way.
The only thing that saved us was the petrodollar, which we've talked about previously on this, which basically said that with the settlement currency for all trade of crude oil was going to be in US dollars. But as we've continued to print, we're reaching the end of this economic cycle. We now have a dollar that's backed by nothing. Hence why when we print more money, the currency gets debased and the rest of these countries start to flounder because their economy gets weaker. Hence why BRICS is forming up to create their own solution. So what he's proposing is effectively a new contract that says, hey, the dollar is now backed by Bitcoin. The arguments against that are it's too volatile, it's too this, it's too that. Gold is still a reasonable means to back up the dollar. We could return to that, but that would require us to remove a bunch of dollars out of the system.
Right. And
so Bitcoin is a more scalable solution that ties well for the future of where money is actually going.
Right.
You can even then back that by gold as well. And so that's what he's saying is the best digital asset in a digital future world is Bitcoin.
Yeah. Shout out to Bobby, man. We love us some Bobby Shell over here. Shout out to you. There's the 5 points that he said. Actually, we'll just include the link in the show notes.
Yeah, you can read it real quick though.
Yeah. So he said, what would this do? So as he's proposing this, number one, fortify the dollar's reserve currency, which you heard, establish personal and business strength, impact and foster mining innovation, increase abundant energy in the USA, and restore manufacturing in the USA. Anybody who's serious proponents of any of those things should definitely be having this conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, your money should be an asset, right? But when it's backed by nothing, it's not an asset, which is why you have to invest it, which is part of why they want to inflate the dollar is they want to encourage capital deployment. He's also talking about fortifying energy and the energy grid. He's actually right because Bitcoin can capture and use some of the energy loss that's happening. For example, like natural gas, the way that it's mined, there's off gas. And so they just have to burn it. Well, you can actually use that off gas to fuel the mines that are running to mine the Bitcoin. And so there's a lot of things that are intentionally being ignored.
Yeah.
Because why would you do that when the current system is benefiting a small group of people, right? They don't want it to be that way.
Yeah, that's good.
That's my take.
That's good. All right, roger that.